which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Margaret Mack, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the April 18th to April 24th issue of the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And on the front page, we have a picture of James Wright, a fourth grader who's competing for America's favorite student. James Wright, a fourth grade student at Our Lady of Victory Elementary School in Lackawanna, New York, is currently participating in the America's Favorite Student Competition, a national initiative that celebrates students who inspire others through learning, leadership, and community impact. James is known for his curiosity, bright personality, and growing passion for science, STEM, and discovery. His participation in the competition shines a spotlight on youth achievement, education, inspiration, and the importance of encouraging children to dream big. James has already captured the attention of those around him through his enthusiasm for learning, hands-on STEM activities, and the joy he brings to exploring how the world works. Through the competition, James is also helping bring awareness to the Planetary Society, an organization committed to advancing science, space science, and exploration. That connection makes his story especially meaningful for children who dream of becoming scientists, inventors, engineers, and future leaders. James has a natural spark his family shared. He loves learning, asking questions, and discovering how things work. This competition gives him a chance to shine, but more importantly, it gives other young people someone to look up to. In addition to his academic interests, James is the young face behind James Does It All, a platform that highlights his love for STEM, discovery, and creative learning. Through it, he shares moments that inspire other children to explore, ask questions, and enjoy learning in everyday life. As his community rallies around him, James' journey is becoming a reminder that when children are encouraged, supported, and celebrated, they can do incredible things. Community members can support James by voting and sharing his story. Vote for James at www.americasfavorstudent.org/2026/James-Wright. That's WRIGHT. Next up, we have a public notice. Buffalo lawyers rally at Niagara Square. Stand up for justice. Lawyers defending democracy. When? Friday, May 1st, 2026, from 3 to 4 p.m. Where? Niagara Square, Buffalo, New York. Lawyers are usually in courtrooms, not in the streets, but the stakes are too high to remain silent. When fundamental legal norms and democratic institutions are being tested, we have an obligation to step outside our usual roles and speak directly to the public. This rally comes at a critical moment, citing attacks on judges and court orders, targeting of lawyers and law firms. The weaponization of the Department of Justice threats to civil rights as well as threats to free and fair elections. Lawyers in the community will gather at Niagara Square on Friday, May 1st, from 3 to 4 p.m. for a public rally. Stand up for justice, lawyers defending democracy. Our Western New York legal community will speak out against growing threats to democracy, the rule of law, and constitutional rights. This is about defending the core principles that hold our legal system together: Samantha White, Esquire, said, "When lawyers, judges, and constitutional rights are under attack, the profession must respond. Speakers will address issues including attacks on the judiciary, First and Fourth Amendment concerns, targeting of legal professionals, abuse of executive power, and threats to voting rights and civil liberties." The rally is open to both lawyers and non-lawyers. Attendees are encouraged, if comfortable, to dress as if they would for court and bring a pocket constitution. Media are encouraged to attend. Speakers will be available for interviews before and after the event. And next we have an article on Buffalo's proposed budget. Comptroller Miller Williams responds to Mayor Ryan's proposed budget. Mayor Sean Ryan has released his fiscal year 2026-2027 recommended budget and four-year financial plan. The City of Buffalo's Department of Audit and Control will initiate a comprehensive review of the recommended budget. As mandated by the city charter, Comptroller Miller Williams will submit her annual budget response. The recommended budget totals $681,104,790, which represents an increase of $59,030,375, or approximately 9.5% over the prior fiscal year. At first glance, the budget presents a materially balanced estimation of revenues and expenses for fiscal year 2026 to 2027. However, further analysis will be necessary to assess its forecasted accuracy. The Comptroller's Office will also conduct a detailed evaluation of the expenditures and the reliability of projected revenues. Of particular concern is the net inclusion of $40,150,000 in non-recurring revenues, which includes $15,150,000 in proceeds from the sale of the parking ramps, in addition to $15 million in New York State aid in municipalities' fundings, and a projected $10 million from the sale of the in-rem properties. Given the volatility of the current real estate market and the one-time nature of these sources, there is a risk that these revenues may not fully materialize in the upcoming fiscal year and could impact the city's financial outlook in the out years. While the proposed budget appears balanced on its face, it leaves the city with limited flexibility to respond to unforeseen financial pressures, said Comptroller Barbara Miller Williams. Unexpected events such as natural disasters, unbudgeted legal settlements, or rising maintenance and operational costs could quickly reduce our already limited financial resources. Additional analysis and comments from Comptroller Barbara Miller Williams will be included in her forthcoming budget response, which will be submitted not later than Friday, April 24th. Residents are encouraged to review the mayor's recommended budget and remain engaged in the city's financial planning process. The full budget document is available online at www.buffalo.ny.gov/161/Division of Budget. To further support public engagement, Comptroller Miller Williams will be hosting a public financial meeting regarding the recommended budget on April 29, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. at the downtown Buffalo and Erie County Public Library located at 1 Lafayette Square. This meeting is free and open to the community to participate. And next we have a personal review article by Christian Bratton. What I learned hosting a citizen science event no one attended. I hosted a Citizen Science Earth Day event this month with a clear goal: to encourage people to visit a local park, document what they observed, and come together on April 15th for a Zoom discussion to share those findings. The format was simple and accessible, allowing folks to attend after work hours. When the time came, no one attended. After waiting 30 minutes, it was clear the event would not move forward as planned. Rather than dismissing that outcome, I chose to examine it. I am using this as data to identify barriers and better understanding how people engage with environmental action. Planning for the event began before April. I shared a poster ahead of the official launch to give people time to prepare. On April 1st, I released full details, allowing a 2-week window for participants to visit a park, take photos, and be ready for the discussion. The timeline was designed to be flexible while still structured. I circulated the poster across my network and asked others to share it. Some people did immediately, which I appreciated. Others engaged passively by liking the post, but did not RSVP or take further action. No confirmed participants emerged. I also explored targeted outreach. I contacted a professor in the environmental science field to share the event with students who would have been a strong fit for this type of activity. I did not receive a response for a few days and chose not to follow up. That decision limited access to a key audience. I reached out to a director at the Western New York Land Conservancy as well. We discussed a potential collaboration and they agreed to contribute to a blog feature, but communication did not continue even after attempts to follow up with them. That piece would have strengthened the event, though the lapse was outside of my control. Additional feedback came from a professor in the environmental field who responded a few days before the event. They supported the concept but noted areas for improvement, including more accessible information on park locations and more direct outreach, such as phone calls. The event was not shared within their network. The effort behind this event was consistent, but the outcome revealed a gap between environmental interest and participation. Many people express concern for environmental issues, yet participation drops when the action requires time. No incentive, planning, or physical presence. An open invitation alone does not create commitment. This now begs the question: what assistance exists that helps me market events and meaning further? Environmental and climate work requires collaborative effort and teamwork to reach a big impact. There are clear areas for improvement. The task must be defined in a more direct way, so expectations are immediately understood. Although my website homepage lists step-by-step participation details, supporting information should be easy to locate and use. Outreach needs to extend beyond post into more direct communication, especially when engaging with groups already connected to environmental work. Requiring RSVP may also help establish commitment. I am also reconsidering the format. Instead of creating new events independently, it may be more effective to align with existing Earth Day activities and build around them. Working within established spaces could increase participation and reduce barriers to entry. If you were unable to attend, I'd like to hear what the barrier was for you via the survey. This information will help share future event development. The intention behind this event remains the same. Encouraging people to engage with their environment in a real physical way is still necessary. This was not a loss. It was a test. The next initiation will reflect what this one revealed. That article again was by Christian Breton. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And this next local news announcement is written by Julian McGee. National Superhero Day at C District Police Station. The Jonathan R. Cole AMVETS Post 24 and the African American Veterans Arts and Culture Corporation will present National Superhero Day on April 25th, 2026, from noon to 4 at the C District Police Station located at 693 East Ferry Street. This event is hosted by the C District Police Station under the direction of Chief Thelma Jones. The theme for this year will be Finding the Superhero in You, and kids are encouraged to wear their favorite superhero costumes and enjoy meeting Storm and the Black Panther, among other superheroes. There will be free food, games, and prizes. This event is free and open to the public to come out and have a good time. And next we have a scholarship announcement. Lillian E. Hunley Annual Scholarship Award, presented by the Bennett Wells American Legion Auxiliary number 1780. Mrs. Hunley was the mother of 10 children. As a young widow, she was able to successfully raise her children alone. While her children were in school, she volunteered to tutor reading to students in the Diocesan Education Center. Mrs. Hunley helped raise funds to pay for YMCA memberships for neighborhood children and was a member of the YMCA board. Mrs. Hunley was also known for being a hard worker and a pillar in the community. She founded the Landon Fillmore Block Association to help with the maintenance and beautification of the neighborhood. A longtime member of the Fire Prevention Board, which was created to aid where needed. Also, she was a founding member of the Bennett Wells American Legion Auxiliary number 1780, whose main purpose is to provide assistance to all veterans in need of support in Erie County. And she served as a board member on the Maston Block Club Coalition. The scholarship will be awarded $500 to deserving seniors who have been accepted into college. Parents who have deserving students should have their applications submitted no later than June 13th, 2026, to the address listed on the application page. And the address is 1356 East Delavan Avenue, Buffalo, New York, 14215. The scholarship is available to any high school student that has received an acceptance letter from a college or university planning to attend in the fall, and you have to send a copy of that acceptance letter. You need 2 letters of reference from your high school faculty, 1 letter of reference from a respected member of your community, plus a 500-word typewritten essay describing what you have done in the past or what you are presently doing to help in the community. Also, what are your career goals? And a copy of your most recent high school transcript. You send all that information to Ms. Dolores Ross Williams, President, Bennett Wells AI Auxiliary number 1780 at 1356 East Delavan Avenue, Buffalo 14215. If you have questions, please call 716-316-1846. And next we have state news. Senator Zellner joins the Senate majority in advancing legislation to lower utility cost and strengthen ratepayer protections. Albany, New York. Senator Jeremy Zellner and the Senate Democratic majority advanced legislation to protect ratepayers' access to utilities, ensuring such services are provided in a manner that is equitable, affordable, and impose no undue financial burden. This package builds on the majority's commitment to deliver vital affordability and relief to New Yorkers, whose utility bills are among the highest in the nation. Its work on affordability will continue in tandem with budget negotiations. New Yorkers cannot afford to wait, and Senate Democrats remain committed to advancing solutions that will address the financial pressures their constituents are facing. This package includes legislation that would establish protections for consumers related to service termination and overdue payment, prohibit utilities from terminating services during extreme weather events, provide direct and timely financial relief to ratepayers affected by utility misconduct, automatically re-enroll individuals and households who continue to meet the eligibility requirements for the Home Energy Assistance Program, HEAP, and restrict retroactive service charge increases for small, non-residential customers. Statements from Senator Zellner. What people are dealing with right now isn't just high utility bills. It's a system that feels unpredictable when they're trying to keep their homes running. That's what needs to change, said Senator Zellner. This legislation puts real guardrails in place. No shutoffs when weather turns dangerous. Stronger consequences when utilities fail their obligations. And a requirement that basic protections actually function the way they're supposed to. At the end of the day, utility service should be stable and fair. People shouldn't have to fight the system just to keep their lights on. Extends rollover credit period for consumer-generated electricity. This bill, 1553, sponsored by Senator Parker, would extend the time during which they can receive net metering credits for energy generated by their wind or solar or excess of what they use from 1 year to an indefinite period, and would entitle ratepayers indefinitely accumulating such credits to be reimbursed the avoided cost of those credits every 5 years. Consumer credit reporting by utilities study. This bill, S. 2011, sponsored by Senator Parker, directs the Department of State and the Public Service Commission to study and report upon the prevalence of the disclosure by public utilities, cable television companies, and cellular telephone service providers to credit reporting agencies of late payments and defaults in payments of fees and charges by consumers. Prohibits utility disconnection during extreme weather events. This bill, S. 12-0A, sponsored by Senator Clare, would prohibit utilities and municipalities from terminating electricity or gas service for ratepayers during extreme weather forecast periods. Those extreme weather forecast periods would include any day that is forecast to be 32 degrees or colder and days that are forecasted to be 90 degrees or higher. Next, we have NYSERDA, Legislative Transparency Act. This bill, S 8019, sponsored by Senator Comrie, would call for the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority to also submit a semi-annual report on the system's benefit charge to the chair of the Assembly Energy Committee and the Senate Energy and Telecommunications Committee, and would require this report to include a summary of how systems benefit charge funds are used. Next, Penalty Ratepayer Recovery Act. This bill, 8908, sponsored by Senator Comrie, would require civil penalties and forfeitures recovered from public utilities for violations of the Public Service Law or Public Service Commission, orders to be returned directly to affected ratepayers in the form of bill credits as soon as practical and no later than 90 days. And the next bill limits utility legal fee recovery from ratepayers. This bill, S 3734B, sponsored by Senator Mayer, would authorize and direct the Public Service Commission to establish rules to limit a utility's ability to recover certain legal expenses, such as its direct or indirect cost associated with its attendance and participation in, preparation for, or appeal of any rate proceedings conducted before the Commission, as well as employee compensation. And finally, established automatic re-enrollment for HEAP recipients. This bill, S 1966, sponsored by Senator Ryan, would require social service districts to automatically re-enroll individuals or households currently receiving assistance through the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, HEAP, as long as they continue to meet federal and state eligibility requirements. This package of bills on the majority's committee this package builds on the majority commitment to deliver vital affordability and relief to New Yorkers, whose utility bills are among the highest in the nation. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And next we have the column by Eva M. Doyle, Toward a Better Life. How to Find Your Roots, Part 2. I have been researching my family roots for more than 25 years. In the process, I have learned a great deal about my great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents. I am still learning about my family. The family member that helped me the most was my aunt who lives in Washington, D.C. She will be 95 years old in August. I first began this journey when I visited her and my cousin many years ago. While we were having breakfast one morning, she began to talk about her family and growing up in the South. As she spoke about her childhood on the farm in Alabama, I realized that she was telling a history that I never heard before. So I stopped and said, "Wait a minute, I will be right back." I went into the bedroom and came back with a pen and a pad of paper. I wanted to take notes and record this very important history. This was my first step into genealogy, the search for one's family roots. I have been on this journey ever since. Make sure that you write as much down and keep it in a safe place. If there is a family Bible available, read all information recorded carefully. Many elders in the family recorded family history in them, such as births and deaths. You might even find some important documents relating to your family history. Obituaries are a great source of information. You can get family names. Also check out the spelling of names. They can be key to your search. You can also check with a genealogist in your home state. You call the local library to see where you can locate one. They can be helpful to help you with your research. Remember, you must have a lot of patience when looking for your family roots. Also, try your local library for resources and books on this topic. The Meriwether Library right here in Buffalo has a genealogy group that meets and shares information. You can call the library to get dates of the meetings, times, and places. The Meriwether Library is located at 1324 Jefferson Avenue. The phone number is 716-883-4418. If you belong to Ancestry.com, you can do a search and find some valuable information, such as military records. You have to pay a membership fee to join Ancestry. There is a free service at FamilySearch.org. You can also try the Mormon Church. When I did my family research, I went to the Mormon Church. Look up its library resources. They have computers available and people to help you with your search. I have created a family book with all of the information that I've discovered to date. I have names, dates, and important places where my family lived, especially in the South. Several years ago, I interviewed a cousin who at the time was 87 years old. I found out that she also was researching our family roots. In speaking to her, I found out that her son was a classical pianist who was known in Europe and traveled there to do concerts. Before I wrote this article, I decided to check with Ancestry.com. I put his name in the search bar and found out that he passed away in 2003. I also searched the burial sites in Alabama and found his gravesite. I also found out where there was a major music award established in his name. I am interested to learn more about his life. I will add his story to my family booklet. There is a page in my booklet that lists 16 educators on my mother's side of the family. I have their names and the subjects that they taught. My cousin, who was the family historian in Alabama, made the following statement when I spoke to her years ago. Our family believes strongly that educating our youth is a great investment in the future of the nation. As an educator, I have carried on this very important tradition. I have also created a CD with updated information that can be passed on to other family members. And next in local news, Buffalo Olmsted Parks Conservancy launches the Charles E. Baalbeck Commemorative Tree Program. Buffalo Olmsted Parks Conservancy, BOPC, is proud to announce the launch of the Charles E. Baalbeck Commemorative Tree Program, a meaningful new opportunity that allows community members to enhance the parks by supporting the planting and care of new trees, creating a lasting legacy across Buffalo's historic Olmsted Park system. Inspired by Charles E. Baalbeck, a longtime advocate for Buffalo parks, whose lifelong devotion to trees and nature led to a generous gift to the BOPC, this impactful program continues to grow from his legacy. Today, that legacy lives on with every tree planted. Donors are invited to honor a special person, event, or milestone through the gift of a tree, one that will take root, flourish, and provide beauty and benefit for generations to come. Charles Baalbeck tended to the tree canopy at his home with the same care and intention that defines our own mission, said Katie Stephenson, Executive Director of Buffalo Olmsted Parks Conservancy. This program is a beautiful way to carry that spirit forward, allowing families and friends to leave something living and lasting in the parks that means so much to our community. My father loved trees and he loved Buffalo. This program is a beautiful reflection of who he was, and we couldn't be more excited to see it come to life. We're so glad his legacy can take root in Buffalo parks for generations to come, said daughter Melissa Ballbeck. Program highlights. Each commemorative tree planting supports BOPC's ongoing commitment to reforestation and ecological stewardship throughout all 850 acres of Buffalo Olmsted Park system, with a particular focus on areas with the greatest reforestation needs. Key features of the program include 1 to 2 inch caliper trees are planted, not saplings, giving each tree the strongest possible start and the greatest chance to thrive. 3 years of dedicated care, including watering, growth monitoring, and replacement trees during the establishment period. Choice of park location across Buffalo's Olmsted Park system, including Delaware Park, Cazenovia Park, South Park Arboretum, Front Park, MLK Junior Park, Riverside Park, and the Japanese Garden, the cherry trees only there. A framed green deed presented to the donor or gift recipient. All donations are fully tax deductible. Giving levels. Tree plants are available at 2 price points based on park location and reforestation need. $1,250 for planting in Delaware Park, Cazenovia Park, South Park Arboretum, and the Japanese Garden. Parks with a focus on ornamental and specialty trees requires greater investment. And the next gift level is $1,000 for planting in Front Park, MLK Junior Park, Riverside Park, and Prospect Park. Parks with elevated reforestation needs due to canopy loss from winter storms and invasive pests such as the Elmwood ash borer. How to participate. Trees are planted once a year each fall. To be included in the upcoming seasonal planting, purchase must be completed by August 31st of the same year. Payments are accepted by check, cash, or credit card, online, by mail, by phone, or in person. For more information or to purchase a commemorative tree, visit www.bfloparks.org/buy-a-tree. You can also email commemorative at bfloparks.org or call 716-838-1249, extension 31. And next we have an announcement of an upcoming program, free program for families and parents. Program aims to strengthen families with free 10-week marriage and parenting course. The Buffalo Prenatal and Perinatal Network, BPPN, invites couples and co-parents in the Buffalo community to participate in a free, transformative 10-week marriage and parenting class beginning Monday, May 11th, 2026. The program will be held at 703 Washington Street from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's hosted by BPPN's Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative. This engaging, evidence-based series is designed to strengthen relationships and support healthier families through improved communication, teamwork, and parenting practices. Participants will be guided through a journey focused on growth, healing, and connection. Over the course of 10 weeks, attendees will explore key topics including self-nurturing strategies, co-parenting and teamwork, family leadership, and positive role modeling. The class is open to individuals, couples, and co-parents looking to strengthen their relationship or build a more stable and supportive home environment. There is no requirement to be legally married, but both parents need to attend. This is more than a class. It's a movement toward healthier families and stronger communities. We want to create a space where couples and co-parents feel supported, empowered, and equipped with real-life tools that they can use every day, said Luann Brown, CEO of BPPN. Couples and co-parents are encouraged to register early, as space may be limited. Register at forms.gle/AZW. Stay connected. The Buffalo Fatherhood Initiative of the BPPN encourages the community to stay involved year-round. To learn more about how you can support BPPN or access service, visit www.bppn.org, or you can call 716-884-6711. And next up, we have some health news. Step into spring with free health screenings, giveaways, and resources at Good for Neighborhood events. Buffalo, New York, the Independent Health Foundation will welcome families and neighbors to its first 2026 Good for the Neighborhood event on Wednesday, April 15th at the Westminster Community Charter School. More event dates will be announced at the end of the article. For more than 30 years, the Independent Health Foundation has been a trusted community partner, helping families and neighbors across Western New York access the care and resources they need. Through its free Good for the Neighborhood events, the foundation delivers health and wellness education and practical tools to neighborhoods where access to care may be limited. We look forward to these Good for the Neighborhood events each year because they give us the opportunity to connect directly with our community and provide meaningful support, said Carrie Mayer, Executive Director of Independent Health Foundation. Our goal is for attendees to walk away with the tools and knowledge they need to make healthier choices for themselves and their families. At each location, attendees will receive a hygiene bag stocked with essential items including toilet paper, soap, shampoo, toothpaste, and deodorant. They will also receive a Healthy Options receipt bag containing ingredients to make a delicious vegetable stir-fry. A recipe bag, rather. Participants can also take advantage of free blood pressure screening provided by ECMC and connect with local community organizations. In addition to health screening and resources, children can enjoy fun, engaging activities at each event. The April and May schedule is as follows. Thursday, April 30th from 5 to 6:30 p.m., Akron Newstead Senior Center at 5691 Cunnings Road in Akron. Thursday, May 7th from 5 to 6:30, West Side Community Services at 161 Vermont Street, Buffalo 14213. Saturday, May 9th, 10 to 11:30 a.m. at the Rural Outreach Center, 730 Olean Road in East Aurora. Blood pressure screening not provided at this location. And finally, on Wednesday, May 13th, from 5:30 to 7 p.m., Martin Road Elementary School, 135 Martin Road in Lackawanna, 14218. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from the Buffalo Criterion on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And next is an article by Karen Juanita Carrillo that's reprinted from the New York Amsterdam News. March jobs report shows high black jobless rate, declining buying power. The latest March jobs report showed the U.S. economy adding 178,000 jobs and the unemployment rate decreasing to 4.3%. But a deeper analysis shows troubling disparities for Black Americans. According to Cantrell Dumas, a senior researcher at the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies, the report indicated a sharp economic decline for Black workers. Unemployment for Black women saw a sharp decrease from 7.7% to 6.3%. But the unemployment rate for Black men, however, unfortunately increased from 7.6% to 7.9%, Dumas noted. The overall unemployment rate was 4.3%, but the overall Black unemployment rate was 7.1%. It's still the highest among all racial groups, with whites at 3.6%, Hispanics at 4.8%, and Asians at 3.7%. Employment numbers have increased, and the federal government may have been rehiring some workers, but overall job cuts have continued, especially in large federal positions. Employment growth has mainly occurred in small businesses, manufacturing, and healthcare sectors. But geopolitical things are happening that are not being accounted for, Dumas warned, referencing ongoing tensions and conflicts such as the U.S. war on Iran, which may impact economic stability in the coming months. On top of the economic pressures in the country, a recent report by the fintech firm Pay found that wage increases across various states have not helped many workers boost their purchasing power. Pay report shows the gap between earnings and the rising cost of essentials like rent, utilities, and insurance. It found that in Florida, workers are experiencing a 10.3% decline in purchasing power, even though salaries have risen by 8.7% since 2023. This means that despite wage hikes, inflation passes income growth, resulting in a decrease in residents' living standards. Utah and Colorado face similar problems. Their workers have had effective pay cuts of 9.7% and 9.6% respectively, despite receiving salary increases. Utah residents are expected to lose nearly $9,700 in real purchasing power annually by 2026, while Colorado workers are facing a $9,600 shortfall. In Texas, despite a 7.5% increase in wages, inflation caused an 8.5% loss in purchasing power, which is the same as an income reduction of nearly $7,000 for the average worker. And in New Jersey, which has some of the highest salaries in the nation, there is a 7.6% gap between wages and rising costs, leading to an annual real value loss of nearly $9,000. So even as the job market appears to be improving on paper, many people, particularly Black workers and low to middle income workers, are not being paid sustainable living wages. As Dumas emphasized, the economic realities for Black Americans and others struggling remains grim, with inflation eroding their earning power. This is why many Americans feel pessimistic about the economy despite low unemployment numbers. A Pay financial advisor said about the study, if your salary goes up by 8%, but your rent and electricity goes up by 18%, you are losing 1/10 of your salary on inflation. This gap drains the incomes of low and middle class families, as the money that used to go towards savings or education is now being diverted entirely into basic survival costs. And next up, we have the Mighty Oba Sports Report by Pat Freeman. NFL Draft April 23rd to April 25th, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Buffalo Bills once again come into a draft with the ability to take the best player available in the draft. They have done enough on both sides of the ball during free agency to once again be in this position. The difference this year is that for the first time in 9 years, Sean McDermott will not be the influential factor determining which player is selected. This time, Joe Brady will be the final factor influencing Brandon Beam in the draft room. The one thing we can hope for is that the organization will improve from its missteps in rounds 1 to 3 and finally begin to hit with impact players. This version of the NFL requires teams to do well in those first 3 rounds. Unfortunately, the last 9 years have seen some subpar selections in these critical rounds, which I believe have been a factor in getting over the hump and getting back to the Super Bowl during the Josh Allen quarterback era, which quietly is approaching a critical part of his career. Most of you need to realize that Josh Allen is a high-value commodity, still playing particularly good football. This is also the stage that the organization must consider moving him to a team that would give him multiple draft choices to help build the next generation of this franchise. Now, some of you are saying there is no way we will trade our franchise QB, and that could very well be true, but this is the modern NFL. And rest assured, the offers are coming in from teams that need that quarterback that could be the better fit to a championship. This was done with Russell Wilson and Matthew Stafford, affording the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams eventual Super Bowl championships. That's the end of the Mighty Oba Sports Report. And next we have the column by Betty Jean Grant. Ruckus young men and randy politicians need to pull their pants up. For years, the worst place I wanted to be was to be walking behind a young man or a group of teenagers who were walking gap-legged while holding on to the waist of their jeans to keep them from falling down around their ankles. I tell you, I have seen more than my share of dirty underwear, or in some cases, no underwear at all. The situation, however, with some of our randy male politicians and the need for them to pull up their pants comes from a different angle that has more to do with sexual misconduct than it does from young men with a hood who are wearing their pants below their behinds, trying to be defiant in the way society wants them to dress, act, and behave. In a few days, Congress will be short 2 duly elected representatives, Democrat Eric Swalwell from the great state of California and Republican Tony Gonzalez from the great state of Texas will resign or retire from their elected seats due to confirmed and non-confirmed allegations of sexual misconduct with a subordinate or staffer in their respective office. Why do people who have a history of sexual harassment run for political office expecting that they will not be exposed? Many of the victims of these encounters are young interns working or volunteering for a politician or a candidate running for office. From former President Bill Clinton to Governor Andrew Cuomo to the Congressman Eric Swalwell, who was running to become governor of California, these gentlemen clearly were not thinking with their big heads. There is a saying, don't go to the toilet on the same place where you eat. In addition to the embarrassment and the stepping away from political office or abandoning promising campaigns, families have been hurt and marriages have been compromised or lost. In cases where the intern or victim did give consent, the element of alcohol or recreational drugs come into play, and that so-called consent is questioned or challenged if charges are later filed. There are too many cases coming forward that lead me to believe that certain candidates are not too smart, or they are engaged in risky and potentially criminal behaviors because they feel they are too powerful to be held accountable and therefore are invincible. Sexual misconduct and sexual harassment are being heard and talked about more often lately. I'm not sure if the incidents are happening more often or that young women are speaking up more when they are forced to engage in this kind of activity in order to keep their jobs or standing in the political arena. When this writer was young and something bad happened in the South, people believed that something else just as bad might follow it. The people would say something like they were waiting for the other shoe to drop, as it relates to a few of those in public office regarding improper or criminal sexual harassment or misconduct. Here in Erie County, I am waiting for one or maybe two of those political shoes to drop in the very near future. Next, we have the column Is That Right by Frank Guest. Ryan blames the past for Buffalo's 25% tax hike, but where did the money go? Our rookie mayor, Sean Ryan, recently announced a 25% property tax increase, much to the incredibility of every property owner and renter in the city. Ryan took to the airways and blamed a $107 million deficit and the unprecedented tax hike on a problem he inherited, then took a page out of the Donald Trump playbook and blamed the problem on generations of mismanagement, which is a direct shot at Byron Brown. Ryan is pledging to fix the problem on the backs of the taxpayers who simply cannot afford to live anywhere anymore. I was curious exactly where the city's money comes from and where it goes, so I went to ChatGPT. Total general fund is $576 to $580 million. Public safety, combined public safety, represents 30 to 35% of the total budget. Public works, infrastructure, is $35 to $40 million. Employee costs, personal services, together workforce costs over 50% of the spending. Debt transfer and miscellaneous transfer, including school support, is $90 to $100 million. Judgments, settlements, debt-related costs, tens of millions. Our revenue sources, the state aid is 30%, the county sales tax share 18%, city revenue, property tax fees, is 40 to 45%, and federal aid, small but present, is 2 to 5%. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the April 19th issue of the Buffalo Criterion. We read from the Buffalo Criterion every Friday at 7 p.m. Your reader has been Margaret Mack. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have the New York Times. Following that, at 9 o'clock is Buffalo Spree, and at 10 o'clock, we have episode number 10 of Nash Falls by David Baldacci. Stay with us. Radio Reading mails out a large print program schedule to our listeners every other month. If you have not received a Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service large print program schedule in the mail, please call us at 716-821-5555. We will make sure that you receive one every other month. A Braille version of the schedule is also available upon request. Our number again is 716-821-5555.
Hello, this is Mark Grier. And for the next hour, I'll be reading from the